Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. I think a lot of you will be aware that in Queensland there's been a lot of flooding and there's been a lot of rain. There has been so much rain falling. It's just been absolutely insane. I do sincerely hope everybody is okay. I hope that anyone who has lost possessions is able to get back on their feet as quickly as possible, and we're able to move into the next phase of the year, and sure, hopefully it'll get better through the year. But in the meantime, we're going to be doing a lot of whippersnippering. I know there's going to be a lot of grass growing in the near future with the amount of rain that we've had. So I thought it'd be a good idea to go through how to change the whippersnipper wire or the trimmer line in the Ferrex trimmer head. So I've got my trimmer head here, so let's get into it. So as we can see, got my trimmer head here, it's out of line, and I've got my trimmer line. And I just thought it might be worth mentioning just the type of trimmer line that I'm using. I've got a 2.4mm diameter trimmer line, and the reason for that is it's quite thick, it's very sturdy. I've used this for some very heavy whippersnippering functions. So we had a path that had been overgrown by it's very heavily overgrown by grass, and I've used this particular trimmer line to basically cut through all the grass and get that pathway back usable, in a usable state again. So a very solid line can take a hell of a beating, and you're not having to replace it every 3 seconds like you might with say a 1.8mm or something like that. So it's a nice, heavy, durable trimmer line. So yeah, that's that piece of information. Now, when it comes to replacing the line, as we can see here, I've just popped the head. We've got these two tabs here, there's one on either side. So if I spin that around, there's the other one there. Now what we want to do is get our forefinger and thumb on either side of those and just pop that out. So that comes apart like that, and we've got basically 3 pieces here. This is the head, this is the trimmer line holder, got a nice big spring there. Thankfully that doesn't come out too easily, unlike some others that can pop out very easily. So we'll leave that in there. Now, ordinarily in a lot of other brands of line trimmers that I've used, what generally happens is, as we can see here, we've got, oh sorry, no. What you would normally find is in here, somewhere around here, you would find a hole for one side of this to fall into. You'd squeeze it in, and then you'd start winding it around, and then you'd find the same hole on the other side and wind it in the opposite direction. Okay, that's normally how that works. Ferrex and Aldi have gone in a bit of a different direction with theirs. So what you do with the Aldi ones, and it does take a bit of guesswork, which I have to admit can be a bit frustrating. Now I've already trimmed some wire here, some trimmer line, but essentially you take out a portion of trimmer line. Now I go for around about 4 meters. So go down to about 4 meters in one single run, roughly 4 meters. Now when I'm doing it, I take one end and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I find the center and put a nice little bend in it like that. Now this is where the big difference between the Ferrex and other brands comes in. Literally the middle of this, you put that bend in it, you slip that into there like that, and on both sides you start winding that around. So that 4 meters goes on pretty quickly, which equates to roughly 2 meters on either side. Doesn't have to be Doesn't have to be perfectly measured, I will say that, because there's a little feature on the actual whippersnipper itself that trims that for you. So we come to the end here, and then right here we've got these little holes. Now there are 4 of them, so we've got 2 on that side and 2 on this side. Oh, and I'm pretty sure you can see that here. There's an arrow. That little arrow actually tells you which way to wind your line onto the trimmer head. So make sure you find that arrow and wind that in the same direction. So on one side, I'm just going to slip that in, and then bring that other side around, and we slip that into there like that. And that holds it for the next step, which I have to admit can be a little bit tricky. So as soon as we've got that sorted out, we bring this into here. Now the other thing too is make sure that you're going into directly opposite sides. So it gives you 2 options, which is good. And what that does is it lines up precisely with these 2 holes here. So it's nice and easy to get your line in when you come back down onto the onto the trimmer head. So as we can see here, we've got these 2 gaps, nice big gaps here. And what we want to do is we want to line these holes up together, and then these 2 gaps up together. So we come in like this, make sure that they're kind of floating down around the same point, as we can see. And then what we want to do is press that down and pull that up into there. Same on this side, pull that up, and then with your 2 thumbs push that right down. There we go. And then as we can see, that's sitting in there nicely, that's sitting in there nicely. And then what happens is, when the whippersnipper is moving and you press it down like that to allow the line to feed out, to automatically feed, that presses down, and another length of line then comes out. So what I was meaning